Hey everyone, Edward Ju here. What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today is, I believe, the 22nd of April. I'm making this video at about 12 at midnight. The thing I want to talk about today is just, about how I'm starting to enjoy the process. This whole business thing is starting to feel a bit less like just an end goal oriented process and more of a journey oriented process. So, instead of just focusing on what I want to be eventually, where I want to end up, what I want to buy, how much money I want to make, I've kind of transitioned to this point where I've started to appreciate the process. I've started to appreciate the hard work. I've started to appreciate the long hours. I've started to appreciate even the times of struggle, the times of pain, the times where I'm tired, when I'm sleepy, when I don't want to get up. At first, the thing is, when you're so focused on the destination, when you're so focused on the end goal, when you're so focused on retiring your family, when you're focused on buying that Bugatti, it's always good to have ambition. It's always good to be that guy who's always striving for great things. It's always good to be, to feel like you're meant for more, to always want to achieve great things. It's always good to want to achieve, $500,000 in profit every single month, $1 million in profit every single month. It's always great to want to be a billionaire one day. It's always great to have, be able to retire your parents, by the age of 20. It's always great to have like a Bugatti Chiron by the time you're 23. All these things are great, but and they can also act as points of motivation, points of inspiration to keep you going at different points along your journey. But it's also important to have balance, right? Originally, when I first started this journey, I probably haven't told you guys, but and this is one of the benefits of journaling. I used to spend most of my time thinking about getting rich rather than working towards that goal. So, and this is a true story. So whenever I used to work, and this still happens occasionally now, but it's pretty much declining at a rapid pace once I realized that. So, usually when I work, I used to say, I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 months now, but in the first, I'd say 3, maybe even last month, like early this month is when I started actually changing things when I came to Dubai and my environment changed. But in the first couple months, what I was basically doing was my business is really based around digital things, making videos, making content. So I need my phone to edit videos and film videos. I need my laptop to organize everything, and I post from my iPad. So basically, when people say, move your phone away when you're working, for me, that doesn't apply because my work is my phone. And, with a device, you can also use it as something with the internet and all these things nowadays in general. You can use it as something to benefit you and to, reach a wider audience, and basically with the internet be able to access the whole global market. Or you can also let it distract you, games, TikTok. And for me, unfortunately, I was one of the people who succumbed to the latter. So, I would work starting from like 12 o'clock, and then I would work all the way up till night, to 10 o'clock. And then, I would look at my to-do list. I set a to-do list every single morning with my journal. And I would be like, this is quite a bit of work. Film 30 videos, do this, do that, do this, do that, product research, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't really get anything done. And even if I felt like I put in work, there was also a part of me that was just like, I could have done so much better. Like, yes, 10 hours passed by, but 10 hours is literally, 600 minutes. I could have done much more than I did. So I started writing down in my journal, hey, why is this? Like, every single day in a row, I'm getting the same feedback. Weeks and weeks. It's been like 2 weeks. And I read back with the final kind of recounts of my journal. Every single day, I basically write how I felt and basically what happened in my mind and my productivity in general. And I was like, there's something wrong because, I'm spending so much time, and every single day, no matter how tired I am, there's this one constant. That constant is the statement of, I felt like I could have done more, right? So what I did was I finally realized that when I was working, let's just say in an hour, I work 60 minutes. Okay, this is in an hour, there's 60 minutes. I spend probably 10, 15 minutes actually clicking buttons, actually doing the things I have to do, and I probably spend 40 to 50 minutes of that hour just scrolling on TikTok. So I have my phone beside me. So basically, I edit videos, screen record for some clips on my laptop, and then I have to airdrop that to my phone. While that's airdropping, I watch TikTok on my iPad, and then when I'm editing videos, I'm listening to music and refreshing music on my laptop, and then I'm transferring the video. Once I edit it, I'm exporting it. It takes time, and then when it's exporting, when it's sending, all the times where there's loading, which there always is when I'm working with content in general, I don't have like a 500 Mbps upload speed. So whenever that happens, whenever there's this point of like even like a slight lack of dopamine, I just open TikTok, I just open YouTube, I just open some music, and then I get hooked, right? So that upload finished like 5 minutes ago, but now I'm hooked on TikTok, I'm hooked on this YouTube video, and I'm just listening to music. I'm feeling it. I'm like, whoa, one day I'm gonna buy this car. I see a Bugatti on my feet. I'm like, whoa. And I look at the car and imagine like exactly, and you know how stupid I am. You know how much of an idiot I am. There are literally times when I'm working, I'm fully focused, guys. I'm alone in the house. Everything is on point. I have white noise. I'm basically tuned in. The room is dark. I have so much work to do. I just made like $40 yesterday. I'm ready. And then I see a picture of a Bugatti. And then, you know what I do? That's not a Bugatti, like a Rolls Royce or something. I just go ham. I open music, I watch TikTok of that car, and I literally spend 2 hours in the website, the configurator website, literally designing my perfect Rolls Royce and getting an estimated price from ChatGPT. That's how stupid I am. I see a Rolls Royce, and my brain, it is so hungry for dopamine that instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna work and put in the work so I can actually buy it one day, no, instead I spend 2 hours of my valuable time, and instead of locking in, I'm basically locking out, guys. I spend most of my day locking out instead of locking in. I'm literally locked out. I'm pretty sure you guys have never heard of that, but it's true. I'm literally locked out. So yeah, I end up basically configuring this $700,000 Rolls Royce Cullinan, which I'm never gonna be able to buy if I spend 2 hours a day configuring it, configuring different cars on the websites. So, you know, that's one of the benefits of journaling, because you're writing your thoughts every single day. You're writing what's going on every single day. And when you're so busy with work, sometimes you start to zone out. Sometimes you stop seeing things, the bigger grand scheme of things. So when you're journaling and you read back, and you know, on one day you read back multiple accounts, multiple pages across weeks, days, if not weeks, you start to see a pattern. You start to see, hey, every single day I set a goal and I'm not able to reach it on some days. For me, back then, most days, I was always short by like 30 to 50%. I was not able to do as much work, and I basically noted down the reason, right? The reason, and all of the reasons were the same, which is I don't really know why, but I felt like I could have done more. I worked, the clock was moving, time was moving, but the workload wasn't. I just simply wasn't working. And then I tracked the problem down to my device. And that is because I was so focused on the end goal that seeing anything that reminded me of my future, you know, and I admit this too, like seeing Bugatti, seeing money, seeing lifestyle, sometimes I don't even need to see anything. Sometimes, you know, I work, and sometimes I'm just simply motivated, right? I'm working and I just get this burst of like, woo! And then I just start searching random shit, and I just keep going off track, listening to music. So yeah, that's terrible, guys. So, you know, it's always good to be ambitious. It's always good to have this large end goal. It's always good to have this final version, this final form of yourself that you have in mind to reach one day as like kind of something you're working towards. But it's also important to have balance in the sense that, you know, you shouldn't be so focused on where you're going to end up to the point where you forget to work up to that point. Because yes, you could be this. Yes, you could own this. Yes, you could have this amount of money. Yes, you could have that girl. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to come from the sky, right? You have to work towards it. And the reason you want it so bad and the reason it's so valuable is because it's deemed rare. And that's because it's difficult. If getting a six-pack in 1 week was easy, then no one would care about getting a six-pack because everyone has six-packs. In the same way, let's say, whatever. I'm not going to think of anything right now. But you get the point I'm trying to say. Don't be so focused on the end goal to the point where you forget to do the things that's actually going to get you closer to the end goal, that's actually going to move the needle. That's something that I had to overcome. That's something that was personally very, very difficult and took months for me to even realize and weeks for me to fix. But now I feel like I'm at a point where I literally enjoy the process. I love working, guys. When I wake up, oh man, bro, I wake up, I run to the shower. That's probably an exaggeration, but I get up faster than I usually would. I do all my things. Sometimes I don't even eat. Usually I eat first thing in the morning. I don't even eat. I just have my laptop. I grab my laptop, I go on my desk, I check everything, and I start working. Man, just this whole process is becoming so incredibly, exciting, because now my mindset has shifted from one day I'm gonna achieve this to one day I'm gonna achieve this, right? It's literally starting to lock in. It's possible. If I put in the work, it's possible. It's gonna happen. So my mindset's no longer, oh, one day I'm gonna achieve that. It's literally one day I'm gonna achieve that. Really, really. One day, this kid who's making nothing, who has nothing, who is literally driving in a 2003 car, it's barely worth like $20,000, and living middle class in a third world country, is gonna be able to drive a really nice car one day, right? I don't know what car I will eventually drive. Maybe something like a Rolls Royce, maybe even like a Revuelto, or my end goal is a Bugatti. But anything is possible. The sky is the limit. It's a matter of time, and that's what I like. It's control. It's control that if I put in the work every single day, I'll eventually get there. And that realization of, wow, I'm actually gonna do this. This is actually possible. That realization, guys, when you go from that point where you just have dreams to the point where you want dreams, and then from there to the point where you actually start achieving your dreams, or at least you start comprehending the possibility of achieving your dreams. Because sometimes when you focus so much on the end goal, you kind of separate two realities, where you're currently at and where you want to be. When you focus so much on where you want to be, sometimes you forget where you're at. You're on floor 1 and you want to get to floor 10. If you focus so much on floor 10, you'll forget to get to floor 10, you need to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So if you focus all your energy on 10, you're basically going to end up just hitting the wall and missing the staircase to 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. You basically get the point I'm trying to say. So yeah, guys, this was kind of like an advice video and also like a personal record video at the same time. I don't even know why I'm making this video really, but this is super duper interesting, guys. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. It's fun, putting in the work, suffering, not knowing what the hell you're doing, making basically less than minimum wage with incredible amounts of work every single day, not being able to go out with your friends, just being different, right? I don't want to be that guy who's like, well, I'm different, I'm unique, pick me, But at the same time, it feels nice. It feels nice knowing that there's probably very little people out there in the world who worked as hard as me today. Guys, if you're struggling with motivation, if you're struggling with discipline, if you're struggling with putting in the work, I'll give you one major piece of advice. Put more goals than you think is possible in a day. Make the largest to-do list you've ever done. And I don't mean put a to-do list of like 50 just bullshit tasks. I mean actually make a productive list. Even if it's one task, one very difficult task that's been biting away at your brain, biting away at your peace of mind. Put that task down. Something that's going to take you literally double-digit hours the entire day to finish. And then even if you don't feel like it, just for one day, I'm not saying you have to work like this a week, for a month. You don't have to go monk mode for like a year, right? To spend one day giving it your all. One day. And give it your all. Don't be like me, who's watching TikTok and saying he works 10 hours a day. Genuinely work 10, 15 hours a day. From the moment you wake up, from the moment you sleep, other than maybe eating lunch, showering, doing your chores, and also, just giving yourself some break, work. Work with intention, work with focus, work with intention. And when you go to bed that night, you'll feel something you've never felt before. you will feel so proud of yourself knowing there's very few people, probably 1 in 10,000 people, who genuinely worked as hard as you did on whatever you worked on. Obviously, there are people out there working super hard. There are literally hundreds of delivery drivers and construction workers, like blue collar workers, just completely sacrificing every ounce of their energy and power. But getting successful is not just about working hard, it's also about working smart. So especially if you're working on your business, think about it, right? I'm not trying to dominate delivering food. I'm not trying to dominate constructing buildings. I'm trying to dominate e-commerce. I'm trying to dominate SMMA. I'm trying to dominate content creation, YouTube automation, whatever it is. And out of those people who are trying to get to that next step in whatever niche you're in, knowing that you're one of the people who worked the hardest that day, is a feeling that's simply undescribable, and it's a feeling that's unmatched and unlike anything else. And once you get that feeling once, your body's gonna love it. Your mind, your heart, your soul, you're gonna love it in general. And you're gonna do everything you can to get that feeling again, because you feel ashamed of yourself in a way. As a man, you're not working hard enough. I worked so hard that day and I felt so good. And your body will chase that feeling. Your mind will chase that feeling, guys. And then you will become like me, where eventually you start to love the process. You start to love working hard. You see it as a challenge, right? You don't just sit there and record yourself, doing absolute bullshit, watching YouTube, going to Monkey Type and testing your typing speed for 3.5 hours, and then putting a compilation online and saying you work for 27 hours a day, right? But God knows and you know. That's all that matters. If you know you worked hard, God knows you worked hard, that's all that matters, because that means you're really putting in the work. And that's what's really going to move the needle and bring you closer to that step. So that's basically the point of the video, guys. Don't lie to yourself. Don't try to convince yourself that you're working when you deep down know you aren't. Try to look over what you're doing in your life. Make sure you're actually putting in work. And if you're unable to do so, just spend one day giving it your maximum, giving it your genuine and intentional maximum effort. And once you get that feeling once, you will never, ever go back to that point where you're lazy, because your body is simply going to be chasing that feeling of superiority, that feeling of uniqueness, of rarity, of hard work, right? The worst thing to be is a man that's not suffering. That's a quote that I really like. So yeah, guys, put in the work, enjoy the process, always have an end goal, always feel like you're meant for something greater in life, but also don't be so tunnel visioned and focused on that end goal that you disregard and kind of ignore the journey and the process of getting there, because that's what's going to get you there. Peace, guys. I'm rooting for all of you. One day we'll make it, guys. So, fighting.